Every evolution in golf has come either through access to new material or manufacturers' innovation. And in the Golfing World Lab, we are going to build a timeline of all of golf's game changers, studying how we analyze the swing, the equipment that you use, and even being able to study every single thing that happens from impact all the way through the ball's flight until it lands on the ground. We are going to create a timeline of this history so that we can see where the game came from, where it is now, and where it's going in the future. Well, last time we were talking about, what I'm wearing here. I'm standing on a force plate and I'm wearing the latest biomechanical kit. And even though my swing takes about a second, I'm able to create, or at least Mark is able to capture, 17,000 columns of data. So the interpretation of that is going to be pretty important, and we're going to check out my golf swing. Mark, you've captured my swing. What can you tell me? What can you analyse from that capture about my swing?
Okay, first of all, it's pretty good, Simon. You've got some really good stuff here. So really this allows yourself as a golf coach, or myself in the role that I have, to really measure and analyse anything. If it moves, we can tell you how it moves, when it moves, and probably more importantly why it moves. So really, where would a player kind of break down, and then really what is the influence as to why the golfer does what they does. So there's some really interesting issues in terms of what we can perhaps tidy up with you. One being that from an address or from a setup perspective, really how the pelvis is aligned in relation to the rib cage and the thorax or the shoulder joints in this case.
Yeah, I mean, golf swing's a chain reaction, and I mean, golf coaches are always going on about address position for good reason. So you detected something in my address position, I'm a little out of kilter, or?
Absolutely, things are slightly kind of mismatched in terms of how you align through the pelvis. It's slightly this way today.
Okay.
So perhaps
it's rotated shut a little bit.
But absolutely right. So one thing that we can allow, how we use motion capture or biomechanics, is how the player can then feel and improve the awareness immediately by using something we call biofeedback here to allow you to feel instantly, dare I say, where you'd like to be. So that can then really speed up the learning process for both the golf coach and the player. Yeah,
because for me that's an unconscious error. Like, I'm not aware of that. So so biofeedback is a way of correcting my position so I can know to find the right feeling.
Absolutely right. And that happens in real time, and it's a wonderful way of developing awareness, feel, perhaps even changing concepts from a golfer's perspective, and really allowing the player to hit balls with, in this case, an audible tone, which would either say, yes, it's where we'd like it to be, or depending on how we use the tone, to say, perhaps that's not quite ideal for you. So maybe a good example to show you how biofeedback works by having you act as a demonstration for us now and showing us some swings and using the feedback to use. So Simon, just come and stand to the ball as you normally stand for me, just with the pelvis a little closed as you normally have it. That's great. And if you can just hold it there just for about 5 seconds for me, that would be wonderful. So what I'd like you to do, Simon, is this. Just pop yourself into your setup position for me. So without moving through here, what I'd like you to do now, Simon, is just start to realign the pelvis until you hear that small beep. So as and when this is aligned or matched up with how you line through here, can you hear that small beep? I
can, yeah. So it's reinforcement, positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
So there I lose it, so it's got to be there, which
Precisely.
Actually feels to me pretty open. So that's one way of sort of helping me to find like the correct position. So as we go through this, capturing all of this data about my swing, what are sort of 4 key areas as you mentioned?
So probably the main 4, Simon, we can look at really how the various segments rotate in golf, so how the pelvis, how the rib cage rotate, how stable these segments are as they move, so common issues, for example, side-to-side movements or maybe up and down movements. How efficient is that player performance? So are they maximising the efficiency or the power which they produce from the golf swing? And then finally, how the weight and pressure then moves in reaction to this. So really what it allows maybe the golf coach to do, or the physiotherapist, or even myself, is to really look at what's the root cause or the cause and effect pattern as to why the golfer does what they would do, why they see what they see, and why they feel what they feel. So we can really get to the absolute root to the issue in terms of this is exactly where things are maybe breaking down, and then consequently why we see, we feel, we experience what we do.
Well, I've got lots of work to do, but what we can see, I think, is that the golf swing is no longer based on opinion. Everything is based on fact, and the data that this picks up, this biomechanics suit and the force plates, allow me to know that everything I'm working on is happening for a fact.